But anyhow, yeah, let's get into it here on Data C. As our first player up at the top right, we got our blue Protoss. Currently teamless, unfortunately, but still supporting Team NV. It is Creator.
And his opponent, the Red Terran player from Psystorm Gaming, it is GUMIHO.
All right, so if you were Creator, which team would you kind of, if all the teams, all the StarCraft 2 teams offered you a contract, same salary and all that, jazz, which team would you want to join?
Oh, wow, that's a really good question. By the
I mean,
way, I
besides
want to
Alpha X, by the way.
apologize.
Besides Alpha X.
Yeah, yeah. Alpha X is always, you know. But I really quickly, I do want to apologize because I believe in the first series that we were casting just a few moments ago, I was saying that he was part of Team NV. My apologies. He is teamless. He still got the tag. So, anyways, um, that's a really good question. So, I guess if I were him, I would try to take a step back and look at my win rates against not just races, but also against players. And then, whoever I'm not so good against, I would try to find their teams and try to, put myself in those situations where I could play them more often. Whether that means I join their actual teams or I join teams that are adjacent to them. But that way, I could improve the quickest in terms of time efficiency.
That's actually a nice strategy to go with. Yeah, I think that would be pretty smart.
Oh, that Reaper was not so smart though. Unfortunate. It tried to juke out the Adept, but the Adept was like, "Nope, I'm right here. I see you."
Yeah, that was unfortunate for Gumiho there. It's not like the end of the world, but it is a pain because you're not going to be able to get the scouting information that you want. And so Gumiho is going to, for the most part, play in the dark. I mean, he does get a good indication a little bit as to the opening. But, the Adept opening, it doesn't really give a lot or it doesn't tell a lot, but it's at least something, I guess. And I think more so, the second Adept should give him a nice indication to say, okay, what is that extra gas being invested to? Because, you could either open up with Adept, or you can open up with Adept Stalker. And if the Stalker was the second follow-up, then that could be a good indicator that there is Blink Stalkers on the way. But if it's two Blade or two Adepts follow-up, or to start off the game, then maybe it's a little bit harder. It could be a variety of things. It could be a Stargate opening. It could be maybe not as common, but DT Shrine opening. Yeah,
right.
Things like that.
Okay, so we are gonna see GUMIHO come out with a drop. That first Hellion is loaded up in there. Interestingly enough, GUMIHO is also sending the Cyclone out across the map. Oh, is it? Okay, so it will get the kill on the Stalker. Is it gonna get out alive? Oh, that is getting so close. But at the same time, the drop is coming in. Oh, look at that micro. Oh, the Cyclone. It is gonna. Yeah, okay, yeah. So the Adept will finally get that kill. Oh. And I was just about to say, like, why didn't GUMIHO... What exactly did he see that gave him the confidence to send out the Cyclone? I feel like it's a very good defensive unit in this matchup, but he obviously chose to send it out at the same time as the drop.
Yeah, maybe the idea was just to use the Cyclone to distract Creator in the front and then drop in the back.
Right.
And the Cyclone
did kind of work, yeah.
Yeah, I guess it kind of. Looks like Creator was on top of it though, so didn't suffer too much damage. But Cyclones are quite mobile as well, so normally they're not in danger. I mean, under the assumption that the Protoss didn't go for something like Phoenixes, where they can lift up the Cyclones or something like that. Usually, it's safe to send out the Cyclone at the front because it's just so mobile.
Yeah. But as we also got to see, the Adepts are very, very useful with their shades, which do, of course, travel much faster than the Adept runs.
Yeah, they can't really outrun the shades there. All right, so looks like the game does kind of slow down for a couple of seconds. Besides the Raven, of course.
Oh, wow. Okay. That Raven is really just praying right now that no Stalkers can actually reach it.
And also praying that Terran can, research recall or something like that.
Yeah. It's like the Raven can detect cloaked things, but why can't the Raven cloak itself? What's going on here?
That's actually a funny point there.
Yeah. But yeah, like you said, the game, it felt like it slowed down for just a second there, simply because both players are powering up. We've got the additional barracks coming down, and we do have the additional gateways that just completed for Creator, so he will be warping in an absolute metric ton of Zealots. And it looks like he will be moving on forward, trying to see what sort of damage he can do over at the 3rd Orbital Command. Now, can he get any damage done? He is going to jump straight on top of the SCVs. Tanks are shelling away, dealing a pretty significant amount of damage, actually. Look at all of those Stalkers and Zealot. It looks like all of their shields have been stripped away. Only 7 SCVs, excuse me, only 7 SCVs did go down, even though this was a very committed attack. Ooh! Stalkers actually, excuse me, getting hit by the tanks once again.
I feel like this was a missed opportunity by Creator. He did not move forward with his Observer ahead of time. If he knew that, I think he would have loaded on up a couple of charge lot into the Warp Prism before attacking to take out the tanks. But now that the rest of the Bowie army is protecting those tanks, it's going to be harder to get on top of the tank. Actually snipes off the War Prism there. There is no more reinforcements. These SCV's doing a great job just messing up with the UI or the AI of the charge lot, and this is just going to be a absolute cleanup here for GUMIHO. He did lose a good chunk of SCVs. He's down by 20 workers, so he has a little bit of ground to make up, but he is decently ahead in terms of the army supply.
Yeah, it kind of feels like GUMIHO is now in a pretty all-in position. Okay, it looks like he will actually head on home, but I feel like maybe he should have just pressed his advantage, because obviously we do see that Storm desperately being chronoed out at home from Creator, but it looks like he does have actually very good vision with that Observer, so that Observer has not been killed off by the Marines just yet. I don't think GUMIHO has the focus. It sounds like I'm blaming him. I don't blame him, obviously. I just mean that that Observer is still alive. But because of that, GUMIHO, sort of broadcasting that he's not actually going to move out, means that Creator does have the room to take a 4th Nexus, and he has replenished his army up to a point. Looks like he will be trying his best to defend his 4th base, but I'd say that if he loses it, it might not be the worst thing ever. I guess it's hard to say.
Yeah, I think it's okay if he has to sacrifice his Nexus as long as he survives. But best case scenario is if he can keep it safe, and it looks like he will with a couple of storms. Will zone out GUMIHO's army, force him to retreat. All the tanks have been sniped out. All that remains are the infantry units of GUMIHO. However, looks like he's adding in some ghosts here into the fray. That should help out with him dealing with the Archons, the High Templars, and the Immortals that are underway. Taking down their shields. That is the best counter to them. So he is going to be set up nicely in terms of having the counter, but is he going to have enough in terms of his rest of the units? That remains to be seen.
Yeah, I do like that move leading with the Stalkers, because the Observer did see that there are ghosts out on the map. Oh, an EMP going center mass onto the Stalkers and Zealots, but the High Templar, where was that High Templar? I think it was to the north, right?
Oh, it was in the War Prism, so...
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah, yeah.
so yeah, it was in the War Prism. Creator still sort of sharking around. He is developing his economy to a very, very strong position. He has 72 probes out on the field right now. He is almost maxed out, and he is looking to contest GUMIHO's 4th base, trying to check if it is even there. It does not seem to be out just yet, but okay, a nice little storm going down on some of those Marines, but I believe that GUMIHO was actually trying to bait them out. Look how low energy the medevacs are. That just tells you how much he's stimming, how active he's been with the bio. Really, really well played, but yeah, it's kind of scary for GUMIHO. He should have some staying power with the ghosts, but as long as the storms are center mass, then it could be pretty devastating just like that.
Yeah, but I do love this pre-split here by GUMIHO. Like, he has his army like kind of split off pretty well, getting a nice concave, and oh, here we go. He is going to go ahead and take advantage of this concave, but the storms are still there in the High Templars, in the War Prism. Looks like he has another storm there, and like you said earlier, those medevacs very low in terms of their energy, so GUMIHO, he's going to have to make sure to stim wisely, or else he's just going to stim himself to death.
Yeah, for sure. Especially because he's transitioning into Vikings now that he has seen Creator's Colossi. And I do really like what Creator is doing. He's getting that 5th base, he's rounding out his tech tree, and he's getting disruptors. This is the way to play in this matchup. You want to sort of keep that lead whenever you have it against the Terran. Tech lead, I mean.
Yeah, he's pretty much kind of branched. I mean, besides the air tech, he's pretty much branched out to the entirety of his tech tree here. You know, where you talk about DTs, or where you talk about High Templars, Colossus, Disruptors, Archons, all these splash damage units. It's just gonna really play well into Creator's arsenal. But here we go. Looks like he is gonna go ahead, and if you're confident enough, oh, actually. You know, nice snipe there by GUMIHO on that disruptor before the purification nova does sets off. And Creator's gotta be careful. Like, he's kind of in that situation where he's kind of teching into his to different, you know, branches, but he doesn't quite have it like fully set. So he needs a bit more extra of these units to kind of really take advantage of them. Right now, he only has 1 Colossus, only 1 Disruptor in the army, so gotta be a little bit careful not to overextend.
Oh, excellent splits from GUMIHO, just barely dodging that Purification Nova. SCVs are going to surround. They're going to give that planetary one big old hug, keep it alive. Whew. Oh man, like you said, it's just not enough to have only 1 Disruptor, only 1 Colossus, or only 2 Archons. And Archons don't really count when it comes to significant splash damage. You've got, you know, your choice of Disruptors, Colossi, or Storms, but Archons, even though they technically deal splash, I'd say that the only situation where they meaningfully deal splash is against those Vikings, which of course we don't see too many. I don't think we see any on the field anymore. We only see 3 actually. So they will be trying to engage that Colossus from the side, but I think that the Stalkers should be able to handle it. Now, it looks like GUMIHO is feeling confident enough to actually try to get a surround on the Protoss army. There is going to be a warping of Zealots over to the side, but oh, dodging those Purification Novas as well. But who do you think takes this fight? It's such a back and forth. I can't really tell.
You know what? I think Creator is going to go ahead and take the win there, only because those medevacs are still low in energy. So, you know, the longer that fight went on, the more advantage it gave a Creator there. And so, you know, GUMIHO was pretty much essentially forced to retreat. And in the end, oh my god, look at those disruptors. That's 9 disruptors, TeaDragon.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, this is going to be so hard for GUMIHO.
Yeah. But he is taking advantage of his, you know, Bio able to split it up and take down the 5th base location. At the same time, Stalkers are going to jump on that fresh base location. Ooh, and the main Disruptor army, look at the minimap. Like, there are 4 armies in 4 different locations attacking 4 different bases at the same time.
Yeah, almost like Brood War right here, with all these small army groups fighting across the map.
Oh, don't tell me the Disruptors are going to get into the main base. Oh.
Oh my god.
Oh.
Oh my god, the hold on this ramp is insane.
Oh my god, what just happened? Okay, so a recall is going to be forced on a lot of that army. Stalkers are going to be left behind to try to pick off the natural base and maybe try, keyword is try, to break down that supply depot wall. But like you said, that was an insane hold with the SCVs, you know, surrounding those supply depots and keeping them alive. This main Bioforce is very vulnerable. Okay, Disruptor hit did not actually get as much done as I thought it would. It turns out that a Disruptor-only army might not be the best thing, as GUMIHO is actually able to clean a lot of it up. Look at that, he's going to pick up into those very low energy medevacs and fake a drop into the main. He's going to get on out safely with the with just a handful of those Marines and Ghosts and whatnot. Actually, no Ghosts, just a couple of Marines and a couple of Marauders.
My goodness, that was just absolutely crazy insane. A micro there, just taking out all the Disruptors one by one. He did miss like 1 or 2, but for the majority, he has cleaned up all. Or at least, well, let me see here, just making sure. Okay, there's 1 Disruptor left, but he essentially cleaned up the entirety of the Disruptor count. I mean, like I just said, I mentioned a couple minutes ago, he was sitting at 9 Disruptors, and now he's down to 1.
Oh man, it's one of those weird things where, you know, the supply of the Terran, it's kind of linear in terms of the power. You know, maybe there are some spikes with the upgrades, with the tech, but I'd say that, you know, it's nothing nearly as significant as 120 supply of Stalkers versus 120 supply of mixed Stalker Disruptor, right? One of them is, you know, pretty sort of vanilla, if you will, and the other one is like, oh, I actually have some splash, I actually have some micro potential. So now what I'm trying to say is that creators' sort of supply in terms of, you know, actual quality might not be as good as it was before, simply because he doesn't have as much splash, and we do get to see that showcase just now because he only had that 1 Disruptor versus the 9 that he had earlier.
Yeah, this is looking quite dire for our Protoss as he slips further and further behind in the supply. And GUMIHO once again just splitting off his army down to the south side as well into the top side. I really like this, you know, just kind of stretching Creator thin, as he doesn't have the most mobile of units, so he can't really be everywhere all at once. Maybe he can recall, but that does leave the other side vulnerable as well. And here we go. Oh my goodness, he recalls right when the army attacks. Okay, so he's gonna be able to save the bottom base, but not the top side base. And there it is, GG.
All right, here we go, game number 2.
All right, yeah. So I just realized we did not introduce the players.
Oh yeah.
I was just mesmerized by this probe here and just scanning around.
Yeah.
And yeah, spawning here at the top right, we got our red Terran player playing for Sidestorm Gaming, looking to take a 2-0 lead. Can he do it? Maybe. It is GUMIHO.
And his opponent, once again, it is the Blue Protoss Creator. Yeah, I was laughing earlier because we saw some very funny things in chat, but
the random letters and stuff.
Yeah, I was just like, oh wow, okay. I wish I could read Korean just for these moments, but that's okay. So this is kind of interesting. GUMIHO went for a double gas opener. Is this common in this matchup?
Yeah, I guess it's like, you know, the 1-1-1 build where the Terran player wants to tech into factory a bit quicker and get that medevac to drop some widow mines into the Protoss base. So yeah, I guess that's not out of the ordinary. But a lot of times you do see them just go for one barracks into gas into CC, and then add the second gas afterwards.
Yeah.
Oh.
If that adept had finished the shade, it would have been a goner.
Oh yeah.
Oh, but the nade just a little bit off, not off center, but like, you know, it pushed the adept in the wrong direction just barely, so it will actually get the kill on the first of the 2 Reapers. Okay, but the second Reaper, it looks like it will get a full scout off. Gonna try to dodge around those stalkers.
Alright, another game of tag here.
Oh, and the Widowmine just walks in. Oh, okay, alright. This is a very exciting early game, I have to say.
Yeah. A lot of action coming at the beginning of this game here. And looks like medevac with the 2 Widowmines on its way. We'll see if Creator can respond in time. He has no stalkers here at the natural though. So might be a little bit scary. He might have to pull the probes. We'll keep an eye out for that.
Now the question is, does he pull towards the Widowmines to kill them or away from them? Or does he not? Oh, okay, he's gonna pull away. Okay. Oh, but look at that! Blink actually is already done. Oh, wow. That's pretty fast.
Yeah, he went for that Twilight Council quite early here, so looks like he will have access to Blink. Important to note that there is no third base yet here for Creator as of now.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, it looks like maybe he's committed. He does have 3 gateways, which is pretty standard, but he does have a War Prism, so maybe he's trying to move out?
Yeah, it looks like he wanted to put on some little bit of pressure. He knows that GUMIHO had opened up with Widowmine, so he doesn't have too much on the ground. So I'm gonna go ahead and try to take advantage. Gonna delay the dirt in favor of Colossus instead. So he's kind of anticipating that there is a push here coming from GUMIHO. I'm gonna go ahead and try to prepare for that. We're gonna keep him busy for the time being with this War Prism drop. Or I guess this
very nice pickup
stalker
micro.
harass.
Yep. I want to say that cute little skirmish between the Widowmine and the Adept on the south side of the map ended in favor of the Widowmine. Very, very, very sad. F for the Adept, please.
And that Widowmine was like 2 life away from being killed as well, so
I know, right?
that's kind of heartbreaking sometimes.
Yeah. You know, what I found really curious was that whenever you have units that were just recently shot by a siege tank, you see the fire animation. And so for the longest time, I thought that it was because, oh, wow, that Widowmine got another stalker kill. Anyways, I thought for the longest time when I first started playing that siege tanks, like, caused fire damage, and it would be like a lingering form of damage for the next half second or whatever, just because I saw that animation.
Oh yeah,
yeah,
because like in the campaign, like if you sit on fire and you kind of burn, your life gets.
I think so. Yeah. So I was like, dude, tanks are OP because like you get shot by them, they deal so much damage, and then they do fire damage. Like, what's going on? And then afterwards, I realized, like after a while, I realized that that's not true. It's just the animation. But the reason why I bring that up is because we saw the stalkers. These 4 stalkers have been alive for a very long time. There has been pretty good blink micro from GUMIHO, but also some good pickup micro from the War Prism. And so when they were recently shot by the tank and they quote-unquote catch fire, that animation would continue into the War Prism as they load up into it.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, but just a small detail that took me a very long time to explain.
I could understand why you would have thought that though. I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
Right, yeah. Okay, so what do you think of this push? Do you feel like it's kind of scary? I think it could be a little scary, but looks like the Stalker Colossi are gonna force a siege up away from the base, which is pretty good.
Yeah, I think whenever like a Terran army has like 3 tanks in it, it starts to become a little bit scary. Kind of like when the Protoss got 3 Colossus instead of 1. It gets like much more scarier. Looks like gonna retreat for now, as Creator did his build order is meant to kind of deal with this type of thing. This kind of push here from the Terran player. So smartly, GUMIHO is gonna go ahead and retreat for the time being. Although, as I say that, there's always that caster curse where the player does the opposite, and looks like GUMIHO gonna go ahead and try to continue this pressure, but this has allowed Creator to kind of get some additional warp ins. Also, actually, as I say that, there is a kind of attempted sandwich, maybe? No, never mind. Just gonna go for the other base.
A nice little run by of Marauders and Widowmines. Widowmines not quite on location to kill those probes, but they don't need to because a lot of that bio is gonna clean up 14 probes. That is a lot of probes that just went down.
Yeah, I think there was a Widowmine drop in the main base that I just kind of barely missed there. So,
right.
Although actually it was I only saw one Widowmine, so I'm not quite sure. Maybe it was from the probes from the 4th base, maybe that got sniped off.
I think so. Yeah, possibly. Okay, now we're gonna start seeing those ghosts head onto the field. Ghosts kind of sort of change the way that the bio interacts with the Protoss army, I would say. It gives the Terran a lot more, aggressive potential, I would say. You're able to EMP, you're able to do a lot more rather than just shooting.
Yeah, a lot of usage from those ghosts.
A little bit of a skirmish. That run by earlier of those Marauders, it has been supplemented by a couple of medevacs. Very nice. Give those Marauders some healing after they use their stimulation packages, as my friends like to call them.
That's nice. I actually like that.
Yeah. Okay, put this bio army once again. Okay, so we also see Vikings, which are going to deal adequately with the Colossi. Some pretty decent... Excuse me, I forgot what the... I'm blanking on the spell name. The feedback, there we go. The feedbacks on the High Templar pretty decently dealing with the ghosts, forcing them back. So now it's becoming a sort of spellcaster versus spellcaster battle.
Yeah, that is going to come down to micro and also positioning, because you want to feedback the ghosts before they EMP you, and then likewise you want to EMP the High Templar, and for GUMIHO, you want to EMP the High Templar before they feedback your ghosts.
Right. Pretty good storm, right in sort of the center of that bio. Good response time by GUMIHO as well, forcing, or, coming back away from the storm into the range of that tank point. Now, looks like Creator, okay, so those tanks are pretty scary. I was gonna say, I don't know about moving out because that Stalker is just gonna sort of get annihilated. Now, these two Colossi are doing their best to deal with the run by up north, but I feel like it's a little bit of a mismatch. You don't really want Colossi fighting against Marauders. You want, maybe Zealots and Stalkers possibly to deal with the Marauders. A bit more utility, but yeah, it looks like Creator is going to try to take a 5th base on location. At the same time, GUMIHO is floating a command center over to the 5th base location, but he is also taking additional command centers now that he does have the minerals for it. A bit of an awkward wraparound here. Oh, but who's wrapping who? Uh-oh. These Colossi are in a lot of danger. They're going to get cleaned up pretty much immediately. Wow.
Yeah, that was beautiful to watch it. But, looks like he's not paying attention. Disruptor will get a good chunk of those bio units. But he does have a nice pre-spread, so could have gone worse. Considering he wasn't paying attention.
Right. Yeah, we're getting into a pretty interesting stage of the game where both players are really rounding out a lot of their tech. So Terran, of course. Oh, was there an observer there? Maybe there was an observer there, and that's why.
Yeah.
Fired.
Yeah, he just EMP'd the observer, was able to take that out. So.
All these disruptors. Oh, okay, the tanks.
Oh no, that was so close.
I was just about to compliment them. I was like, dude, they're hiding out in the rainforest and they're being, as CS:GO players like to say, sneaky beaky like, but that's not going to be the case. They're going to get shelled away by the tanks.
Now, what do you make of this coming from Creator? Opening or transitioning into Stargate into Fleet Beacon, and also getting +1 aerial weapons.
Ooh, a pretty decent disruptor hit at the southern. Base location, not the southern base, but the southern engagement. Storm kind of whiffing. I was gonna say I was a little bit distracted because GUMIHO initiated a very very well played 2-prong. But yeah, the fleet beacon, I'd say it's okay for now, simply because Creator has the money for it. You can see that GUMIHO is really struggling to keep up on maxing out, or it appears so, because he's got 800 minerals invested into a couple of command centers. The rest of his gas is going towards all of those upgrades. I'd have to say it really comes down to Creator's engagements. If he's able to not bleed off units quickly, just bleed off, if you have to bleed off, just a handful of zealots at a time, and then slowly build up your carrier count. Because worst case scenario, what happens is he's going to lose everything. He's going to have to remake 6 carriers at once, and 6 carriers is, a lot of supply. Good storms going down for now, but I'm kind of scared for Creator. He is going to have to give up that 5th base location. Those lib zones just too much to deal with. And as you can see, his ground army is significantly smaller now, significantly lower tech, because of course he did have to split it up earlier. So to answer your question, I think that the fleet beacon is okay while he has a bank, but not while he's under fire like this. Uh-oh.
Yeah, I'm getting a little scared here for our Protoss player. I mean, he's getting attacked right when he's trying to transition into carriers, which is the best time for the Terran to attack. You're attacking when he's weak, and also when the carrier numbers are low. And these, oh my god, these Liberators just absolutely decimating the entire Protoss ground units. And that is it. GUMIHO, he's going to take a 2-0 lead.
Oh.
Alright, so, on this map, I'm always curious to see if one of these players is going to sneakily go for that bottom middle gold base. Kind of ninja it. Now, if this is a game with Astrea, I think the chances will be much higher. But unfortunately, Astrea's not here.
Bro, if there were a game on this map with Astrea, it's like it would be more surprising for him to not take that base,
Yeah. Given his playstyle.
Right. Oh, but interesting. GUMIHO not feeling quite safe enough. Maybe it was a little bit delayed or something, but he's choosing to take the command center over on the high ground. Well, what do you make of that? Do you think that it's because he didn't feel safe? Do you think it's a map thing, or maybe I'm making too big of a deal out of it?
No, I think maybe because partly because the probe was there to potentially block it. And then also this map has the even ground natural, so it makes it difficult to hold off, a little bit more difficult to hold off against any pressure. So
right.
Maybe safer.
Like it's not on a high ground.
Yeah. So like, for example, if you're on the, facing off against a Stalker, because the Stalker has larger range, you either need a bunker or you gotta wait for something else that has equal or more range compared to the Stalker. So in order to you know, if you were on a map where the natural had a ramp area, then you won't really need to worry about the range, because you know
Right.
the Protoss won't have a high ground vision.
Right. So, does that mean that bunkers actually give more range to the units inside of them? Is that?
Yeah, I
is that
give an
true?
extra one
Plus
range.
one? Oh wow,
Yeah.
that's pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
Because I do remember there were some pretty outrageous campaign upgrades in Wings of Liberty, and I specifically recall there was one, like, just one upgrade that made no scientific sense to me. It was like, yeah, you convert your bunker into like an all-in-one railgun or something. And,
Oh yeah,
you know,
yeah, yeah.
bullets that you fire out of the bunker get longer range. And I was like, well, like, that sounds theoretically impossible, but okay. Oh, very cute little skirmish. We see a couple of phoenixes running into that drop, so it does force the drop to delay for a little bit longer, but at the same time, because there was a cyclone in there, it will force the phoenixes back. Oh, and we're gonna see a cloak banshee follow-up. What do you think of that?
Very curious, considering he knows that there are phoenixes out and about. I'm not quite in favor of this. I mean, when you see phoenixes out, like, I guess he's just relying on the fact that maybe, you know, he doesn't have any detection, but I guess it could work out if there is no Oracle or Observer. And it doesn't look like he is making an Oracle at the moment. He can make an Observer here out of this Robo, but it looks like he's not quite yet. But it's you're relying on the Protoss to not have detection. If they have detection, though, then the Banshees pretty much are useless. I mean, the Phoenixes can chase them down if they are revelated by the Oracle.
Yeah.
The Banshees do outrun, or outfly, I guess, rather, outfly the Observer, so they can get away, but they usually can't get in there because, you know, maybe the Protoss would have shield batteries in the mineral line. So, yeah, I'm not quite sure about this Cloak Banshee play, but who knows? We'll see if it works out or not.
Yeah, speaking of observers, one is being produced and not Chrono, but being produced out of the Robo Bay, Robo facility. Now, it looks like both players are kind of sort of settling into a mid-game transition. We see the +1 upgrades from both players. We do see a Robo Bay that did just finish for the Protoss, Stim is starting for the Terran. But I agree with you. It's one of those strats where it's like a check. You know, it's like, are you on top of everything? If you are on top of everything, then okay, that's like the end of the story. If you're not on top of everything, then that's when you can get a significant amount of damage. So for example, just now, 5 probes did go down simply because the observer was not in location. So in that respect, it could be considered a pretty decent strategy, especially now that the second Cloak Banshee has infiltrated the main base and there is no detection here either. Oh, well, as I say that.
Yeah, it looks like he brought over the Observer there, but you know, the shield, you see that the shield battery allowed him to save a lot of probes. I don't think he actually lost any probes there. Let me just double check here. Yeah, he did not kill a single probe.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you know, it's kind of like a reliant on the situation whether the Protoss is set up in time or not. You see, you know, on the third base, he was not set up because it was just a newly formed base, so there was no shield battery or detection there. And he was able to get at least 5 probes, but on the in the main base, he was pretty much set up, and you know, GUMIHO was not able to take a single probe there.
Creator getting some decent value out of these Phoenixes, killing off 9 SCVs, which is nothing to scoff at, as well as a couple of Widow Mines. Transitioning into that Colossus tech, he's also getting a Twilight right now, so I really like this. I really like seeing Colossus Phoenix sort of play. I don't know, there's just something so unique about it, you know? It's like your main army is sort of, I guess, in a way, the Phoenixes, and anytime your main army is air superiority fighters, I'm all for it.
I guess you like the air-to-air play, I guess.
Yeah, I'd say I do, but also the Phoenixes have that very useful whatever it's called, the lift ability, gravitational, I don't know, whatever. But you know, that also gives them a little bit of anti-ground utility. I just love the design of a lot of different units in StarCraft. I feel like it's one of the best designed games ever.
Yeah. It's pretty neat. And looks like, let me take a look here. Yeah, we have 8 Phoenixes, 2 Colossus, although one more is about to pop out. So yeah, it looks like Creator is setting up really nicely in terms of his army composition, even adding in some additional splash damage in those High Templars, maybe, with the Templar Archive. Or he can maybe turn them into Archons, who knows. Yeah, both players are essentially taking kind of like their half of their side of the map. So looks like we might head into the mid to late game here.
Ooh, that Zealot had a swift death, getting sniped down by that ghost. Now, I don't think the Marauders have concussive shell, do they? No, they don't. So concussive shell just started, and it's one of the cheapest upgrades in the game, I believe. It's only like 50 minerals, 25 gas, something like that.
Yeah,
or maybe it's 50-50, I forget. But it also finishes really quickly, so it's not like forgetting it is a big deal. But yeah, GUMIHO is setting up for yet another sort of double-pronged attack. We do see the 4th Nexus base over at the south side, you know, a little bit under pressure from this bio that's sort of just chilling there, you know, banking up energy, which is always nice.
Yeah, looks like both players are getting a lot of different upgrades right now. They're kind of posturing around the map as well. Well, I guess more so GUMIHO, trying to find some openings. But gotta give props to Creator. He's actually split up really nicely. Like, he's got a good chunk of Colossus and Phoenixes and ground units at the south side. You also have a good chunk as well at the natural. So he's got the top side, the top half of his bases covered, as well as the bottom half as well. So a really great defensive setup.
Yeah, I think he can, you know, I think we can attribute that to his good vision. He's had spotter zealots out on the map. He's got those observers in key locations. So I really think that, you know, it's kind of like if you don't have vision, then the Terran has map control and they can sort of do whatever they want. They can attack wherever they want. If you do have vision, then you're able to set up very well, like you said, as Creator has done here. Oh, but he also has those disruptors out on the field. GUMIHO, with that excellent reaction time, is able to catch it in time. One ghost does go down for that disruptor due to that disruptor purification nova. It looks like there will be a Doom drop. Okay, so GUMIHO is trying to set up a pretty big drop over here into the what would be the back pocket base. So he's trying to find a little bit of an opening. He's trying to create a little bit of an opening for himself as he is putting down those extra command centers, and everybody's upgrades are finishing. Wow.
Yeah, it's like a...
I was like, what is going on?
It's just like a whole slew of upgrades completion thingy notification on the right side.
Yeah. Oh, look at that. The Doom Drop finally starting to charge on forward in the main base. That is actually a huge kill, the Cyber going down, so now Creator is not going to be able to warp in anything but Zealots.
Yeah, the Stalkers, Sentries. Oh, I guess at this point no Sentry is going to be really warped in, but Stalkers option is going to be cut out for momentarily. Although he still has a good, decent amount of units here. Got 3 Disruptors. And yeah, it looks like Creators... Oh, actually I can say that.
I think there's just a little bit too much bio. Look at that, the rest of the bio getting super low on health though. Super battery is going to come into effect, battery overcharge, and so the rest of the bio is going to have to pick up. So that could have gone worse for Creator. That could have gone better, but it could have gone a lot worse. And I'd say all in all, considering that was a double Doom drop, that was pretty well defended.
Yeah, although it probably cost more than what he would have liked. That was a more of a efficient trade for GUMIHO. But in the end, he does clean it up in the end, and that's the most important thing. Because a lot of his production buildings are there. So if that does get under attack for any longer, then he's gonna lose a ton of tech buildings there, as well as production buildings.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so we are getting into the stage of the game where last time it actually straight up ended, and that's during the carrier transition. The difference is this time GUMIHO is not really putting on as much pressure as he did in the previous game. Instead, he is doing his own transition into those big bad cattle bruisers. That's right, we're getting Yamato Cannon, we're getting 2 BCs at a time. Oh boy, this is... what a game. We're about to get a pretty interesting late game here.
Man, it's been a while since I've seen like carrier versus battlecruiser action, so I am pretty excited about this. Actually, these Phoenixes, what a huge find! Does find this huge drop there, and that is big. That does prevent the semi doom drop, as that would have been a lot of units being dropped into the inside the base there.
Yeah, that's actually, like you said, a huge catch by those Phoenixes. Obviously not able to kill the Medivacs, as quickly as quick enough to actually kill off the units. That would be borderline impossible, but, a bit too much to ask of 4 Phoenixes. But yeah, it looks like the Phoenixes have sort of outlived their purposes. They are going to take down 10 SCVs, not too bad. But that will enable the carrier transition. And it looks like the Doom Drop is being set up once again. Uh-oh.
Oh man, but it looks like Creator is gonna wise up. We'll have a Void Ray ahead of time to spot it. And oh, actually, you know what? Never mind. The Watchtower does get taken by the Stalker, so it doesn't even matter. And looks like Creator should be able to thwart this for the moment. Doesn't look like he's actually sending any of his units there though, so he's like hoping GUMIHO is too scared to drop in, but GUMIHO, he's fearless, man.
Yeah. Oh, the BCs teleporting into the corner. Oh, GUMIHO, you cheeky Terran player. Oh, he's producing another BC. He's also got a bunch of planetaries set up on his side of the map. He's getting that pocket base. He's getting the corner base as well. So he's committed to the Doom Drop. However, this does reveal the carrier count. 4 carriers is going to be enough to shoo away this Doom Drop for now. So we are definitely headed places. I can't really tell you where, Snoopy, but we're definitely headed out of the mid game right now.
Well, as Doctor Strange would say, we're headed into the end game now.
Oh, and,
yeah, it's getting to the point where it's just going to be an insane amount of carriers versus battlecruisers, and I'm still interested to see what those 2 battlecruisers at the backside and the bottom left are planning to do. They do have Yamato Cannon, so but they don't have enough to Yamato Cannon the Nexus to death immediately. But there's really not a lot here either way. I mean, the carriers are parked up at the main base here, so they're not going to be able to save that Nexus. Maybe unless a recall is used. Maybe that's a possibility.
All right, question for you, Snoopy: do planetary fortresses deal friendly damage? We know that they deal splash, but do they deal friendly damage?
No, I don't believe so. I could be wrong, but I don't believe they do friendly damage. Yeah, I've never seen them do friendly fire.
Yep, I think you're correct. That could actually be one of the few forms of... It could be the only form of splash that doesn't deal friendly damage. I'm not too sure. Tanks deal friendly damage. I think they could be, the only form that doesn't deal friendly.
Oh wow, okay, all the battlecruisers on the top side. We should see the bottom as well attack at the same moments. there we go. They're on the move. But looks like the Protoss army is completely out of position. But they're going to be able to take a ton of these infantry units here at the south side. And TeaDragon, we having ourselves a little bit of a base trade situation.
This is pretty crazy. GUMIHO finding the timing, and you know, it's like, yeah, the carriers found the bio, but did they want to be found? You know, were they a distraction for the BCs? Because these BCs are shredding through quite a few, well, not too many probes, but really the main BC force is shredding through a lot of what is in the main base. Carriers are dealing, you know, pretty consistent damage, but actually that PF was just about to survive. Looks like it will finally go down, but the BCs are taking care of a lot of the tech. They are taking care of a lot of the static defense. They're going to kill off that Stargate and potentially... Nope, they're actually going to... not recall, excuse me. They're going to teleport all the way back home, but those two BCs from earlier, they're still dealing damage over at the corner base. The madmen. Oh my gosh.
Oh, here we go, though.
The carriers. Oh, okay, so they do recall out in time. Wow, this is wild.
Yeah, this is wild, man. This is like... We even got a nuke in hand for our Terran player. I'm not sure when he's going to use it, but... Yeah, that's a lot of BCs. It's getting crazy. Like, it's getting to a critical amount where I don't think Critter can do too much about it. He is adding in some Tempest. He's adding in the Mothership as well. So yeah, he is going to try to attempt to go air versus air here with some added stalkers, of course.
It kind of feels a little bit funny here in the middle of the map. We see both players sort of contesting the middle where there are Marines and Stalkers. It kind of feels like maybe they want to trade out their Marines and Stalkers. Can't really tell, but in any case, both players are definitely going up into the air versus air. We do see some Vikings being produced, as well as a Raven, so we are going to see some Spellcaster action as well. Mothership Core, excuse me, Mothership, not Core. That's a different version of the game.
Oh my goodness.
Look at these BCs just sort of running over everything. Yamato's going down on the carriers. Can the Tempest get here in time? Can they even deal enough damage? There's only 3 of them, so... I mean, they can kite, but look at that. The BCs just teleport on out of there. And it's basically like free damage. Like, what? What?
Yeah, like, once the Terran player gets, like, this many BCs, it's just, like just impossible to beat that. Like...
Yeah.
I have really rarely ever seen Protoss able to defeat, a mass BC army. Like, they could have all the carriers and Tempest, but when they get Yamato cannon, they just disappear like a magic trick. And unless they have like shield batteries and cannons below the Tempest and carriers, then like the battle cruiser is just so tanky and deals so much firepower, and it just becomes just absolutely impossible to take them down.
Yeah, this is definitely getting to a very, very scary point. A player as good as GUMIHO is going to be able to time his attacks with the cooldown on his teleport. So it looks like that's exactly what he's doing. He's going to go into the pocket base at the same time as the Tempest. Oh, actually, they are on location, so they will be able to start shelling away at these BCs from a distance, and they do have that vision granted to them from the poor probes that are getting massacred, as well as the other gateways and the other tech that is over in the main base. The Vikings are going to try to deal a little bit of damage as well. So this really is, we are getting into an air versus air battle. You can see just how efficient the BCs are, because even though both players are similar in supply, one player has kept a bank and the other player has not. GUMIHO definitely still has a nice mineral bank. Not so much in gas, because, the units that he's going for are very expensive in terms of gas, but he is definitely trading very efficiently in terms of minerals overall. Creator, it kind of feels like he's slipping. This could be the beginning of the end.
Yeah. I mean, this is really, really tricky. I don't know. I kind of feel sorry.
Yeah, this is tough, man.
Like you play this like 23 or 24-minute game, and it's like it all comes down to these air units.
Yep. So then what do you do as the Protoss? I guess you have to force fights. I guess you have to be aggressive and then force the BCs to either teleport back to your bases, that way you can recall and fight them, or force them to teleport on top of your army and recall anyways if you start losing the fight. I guess that's the only way to deal with them, right? You need to be able to take back map control from the BCs somehow.
You know, the Protoss in me wants to say, you know, just go to the Blizzard balance team and ask for a solution. But I guess in this situation, you know, there are, I guess, maybe some ways in which you can kind of deal with the BCs by using the mothership teleport. And oh man,
dude, I'm gonna stop casting in words and start using grunts. Dude, this is. Whew. Oh man, that was a TP from like 2 meters away. And then that was a counter recall, but instead of a counter recall on top of the BCs, it was a recall away from the BCs. You can tell that creator is really, really intimidated by these BCs, and you know, rightfully so. He does not want to take an engagement that he doesn't know will win for sure.
Yeah, he's gonna try to use the recall strategically to avoid these BCs as much as possible until he has. Until he feels like he has enough to deal with them straight up. But with the Vikings behind those BCs, it's like it just makes it much more difficult. Oh, look at this! The scan goes down, sees that the Tempests are alone, and these Vikings.
Oh, but the Vikings, they're not quite headed to the Tempest. They're actually gonna head on home. Maybe they want to. Oh, but the BCs are gonna teleport once again.
Okay, I see. That makes sense. I mean, because
yeah,
the Vikings can't teleport, so he's gonna try to retreat them to safety.
Oh, but the recall on the mothership. So there was a recall just now because the stalkers were trying to get away from the BCs. But then the mothership, which was on location, recalled all of the Tempests onto itself. Oh, that could have gone so much worse, but that did not go well for Creator at all. His supply just plummeted. Maybe that was a misclick. I don't know. I think he should have saved that for when he has enough Tempests to actually jump on top of the BCs, because he does not have enough right now.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of bank to speak of. So
yeah,
this is pretty much his entire army for the most part. If he loses it, then there's really no remaking it. And you know, when you're a Protoss player going for air tech and the air fleet like this, when you lose it, it's just really, really, really difficult to replenish that. Not only with the bottleneck of the resources, but also it takes a long time to have them, you know, produced in these Stargates. So it takes some time. You gotta basically buy some time. And in the meantime, you know, during those while the units are rebuilding, like the BCs are just going to go ham on these Nexuses.
Dude, the BCs are just shredding through everything. I think that Creator knows that this is just about the end. He's doing his best to keep up the offense, which I applaud him for. And he is killing a lot of SCVs, but at this point it does not matter in the slightest. He's being killed on 2 fronts. The BCs are going to just walk on over to the... They're just going to fly on over casually. In the bio, you know, they got him because the mules, cheaply enough, took down the mineral wall, and they're going to... Look at that! Even the orbital is going to start landing across the map. Yeah, this is...
Oh my god, that is hilarious. The orbital's going to take the Protoss's backdoor base. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, that's such a that's like an FU move. But
oh my god! Yeah, because you know you would imagine like by the 28-minute mark the backdoor base would have been taken.
Right.
Creator never took it. Oh my god, that is hilarious.
Oh yeah, those are fresh minerals. You're right.
Yeah,
I just noticed that they're like completely fresh. Yeah, they weren't even touched. You're right. Wow. Oh, that's just rubbing salt into the wound. Oh,
yeah.
Ouch. Oh, this is tough, man. A good tag so the oracles are getting a little bit of usage. But yeah, this is I mean, this is gonna be an uphill battle for sure. The Tempests are gonna have to kite for years. Now they do pick off a couple of BCs. They do have one-shot potential, which is really good. They are gonna force ATP.
Oh, here we go.
Strategic recall. Oh, a little bit late though. The surround, the Vikings, and the bio. Oh, this is crazy. This is crazy. I don't know what's going on, man.
Yeah, there is some nice strategy being utilized by both players in terms of mobility, in terms of teleporting and recalling and all that. But in the end of the day, there's just nothing to deal with this many battle cruisers and Vikings. And yeah, Creator is cornered. This is going to be GG.
Oh man. Yep, that's it. GG. What is that? What is the score? I'm sorry.
3-0 for GUMIHO.
3-0. I guarantee you that Creator is really just not feeling it right now. I mean, what a crazy game number 3 to end on.